Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about functions in JavaScript. So what are functions? You can think of functions in JavaScript as a blender. What is the purpose of a blender? It's to blend things, right? It doesn't matter where you take the blender, either your kitchen or a friend's house, it's still gonna blend. The only difference are the contents inside it, which can be fruits or vegetables. The same is true with functions in JavaScript. Functions are a block of code with a specific purpose and can be accessed anywhere in your project. The only thing that changes is the content inside of it. It will still perform the same tasks you've specified. It will just produce a different output depending on what you put in, like a smoothie or a soup in the Blender example. So let's see how we can write the code for this. Let's dive in. Okay, let's see how we can write this in code. So first off, don't focus too much about this example.js. This is just to help me better explain the concept. So I have like comments here, and I can also upload this to GitHub and add the link in the description so that any one of you can easily reference this and go through the comments to better understand functions and also explain it to someone who might want to learn more about functions. Yeah, let's dive right in. Come to our index.js. So to create a function, first of all, we just type function and then we add a name. So it's very important to be descriptive when naming a function so that you can easily look at it in your project and be like, oh, this is what this function does. This is the purpose. So we're going to call this add two numbers because that's what we want to achieve with this function. So after that, we add two brackets and then parentheses and click enter. So using the Blender example, you can think of this function as the Blender itself. So this function called add two numbers is the Blender. And then between these two brackets, we can add A, B. So these are called parameters. So you can think of parameters as the set amount of content you can put in this function. Just as in a Blender, it has a set amount of content you can put in it for it to blend properly and deliver good results. So you can think of it that way. So now that we have that, we can create a variable, constant variable called output equal to A plus B. So you can think of this as the processing. So after we get these two inputs, A plus B, just like we pour fruits or vegetables inside the blender, can think of this as what processes it, which is the blade in a blender. So we receive the input and then we start processing it. So when we get these two inputs, we want to add them together. And then after we add them, can do console.log, then output. So you can think of this console.log output as the cover of a blender. Let's take, for example, your blender body is not transparent. So, and it's covered. So for you to see the results of what has been blended, you need to remove that cover. So you can think of this console.log as removing the cover, showing you the results of what has been processed over here in this output variable. And then after we do this, we need to add something called return output. So this is what will return the final result of the processed information. Just like when you finish processing the contents in the blender, the results will either be a smoothie or soup or whatever it is. So you can think of this as the final result. So now we've created the function. So how do we call it? How do we use this blender? So we can do this by saying add two numbers, which is the function name, add two numbers, then the brackets, and then between these two brackets, we'll add the values we want to input. So just take this as fruits. We're adding two fruit inside our blender, which is the function. So let's say we have 5 apples, we have 6 bananas. So we've added it. And now for us to run this, we open our terminal and then type in node index.js. and then we can see 11. So now we've taken the cover out, and now we can see the processed result, which is 11. So we add the first value, A, which is the 5, with the second value, B, which is the 6, and then print out the result, which is 11. So a way to think of this that we're calling the function, you can think of it as the plug for a blender. So for a blender to run, you have to plug it into a socket. So plugging it into that socket is what will start the blade, make it start rolling, so it's able to process the content you've put inside of it. You can think of this as plugging it in for it to start processing the information we've added inside of it. So we can call this function anywhere in our code and it still run multiple times. So we can also do it here. Let's say you have different code here. Let's say console.log something. So we call this here, and then we can add, let's say 10 plus 20, 10 and 20. Then if we run this index.js, you can see 11, then 30, which is 10 plus 20, which is 30. So you can think of this other calling. Let's say we called it here, and now we're calling it here. So you can think of this as using your blender in the kitchen and then using it at a friend's place, but it's still performing the specified task, which is to add the two inputs and present the results. I hope you understand this. If you want to look through it carefully, you can watch the video again or check out the description. I would leave a link to the GitHub so you can just look through the comments and then, practice till you know how to use the syntax very well. So thank you guys for watching. If you found this video useful, you can leave a like, add a comment. I would love to hear your thoughts, and then you can also share with someone who you think might find this video helpful when learning functions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.